Welcome to Growing Younger podcast, where we guide you through your journey of reaching your fitness goals after 40.
Can men over 50 still get a flat stomach? So this is the topic of today's discussion. Now, I'm probably running ahead of myself a little bit, but I'm going to give you the spoiler. I'm going to give you the answer. Yes, you generally can. Okay, it does get a little bit more complicated as we get older, but I will explain the best way to do it after the age of 50. Now, before we go there, I want to explain a couple of things. Okay, so number one thing I want to address is I want to bust the biggest myth out there about fat loss. Some people believe that you can spot reduce fat from a specific part of the body. So for men, it tends to be the stomach. For women, it's quite often the hips or the thighs. Now, unfortunately, you cannot target specific parts of the body to lose weight from. So essentially, the best way to lose weight from your stomach is to generally lose fat from the body by cutting, creating a little bit of a calorie deficit in your body. And then as your body generally loses fat, you will also lose fat from your gut as well. Now, here's another interesting fact. Now, the reason why you don't have a flat stomach, I assume if you're listening to this, is not because you don't have a strong core, okay? I hear this over and over again. People, or particularly guys, they try to flatten their stomach by doing lots of crunches, lots of planks, sit-ups, all that kind of stuff. Now, even though that will help to give you good abs and strong core, it will not give you a flat stomach. And the reason is that your bulging stomach is just a layer. It's basically a layer of fat. Okay, you're not going to burn that fat by doing lots of crunches and ab workouts. So just to be clear, doing 100 crunches a day is not going to melt the fat off your stomach. Okay, just to be very clear on this. Now, fat accumulates as a result of basically a calorie surplus in your diet. Okay, so if you burn less calories than you get into your body through food, then that surplus calories basically become fat. Okay, now to reverse the trend, you just have to ensure there's a little bit of a calorie deficiency. Okay, so you have to ensure that you burn a little bit more every day than what you get into your body through nutrition. Okay, so that's important to understand. So essentially, you have to lose the weight, you have to lose the fat from the whole body, and in doing so, it will also help you lose weight from your stomach as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about crunches, okay? So, I'm not saying doing crunches is not beneficial. It is, because it will give you strong core muscles, it will give you strong ab muscles, and if you don't have, any fat around your stomach area, then, of course, you're going to get a six-pack. But for the majority of you guys, the reason why you don't have a six-pack and the reason why you don't have a flat stomach is not because you don't have a strong core, it's because you just have too much fat around your gut. Okay, so that's, again, I just want to make this point again. So I guess a comparison or analogy you can make here is it's like putting your six-pack under a thick blanket of fat. Okay, you may have a six-pack if you do a lot of crunches, but you just can't see it because your fat is in the way, and it's that bulging bit that you see that you don't like is just that layer of fat hiding your six-pack. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So instead of hammering yourself with endless ab workouts and crunches and sit-ups and all that kind of thing, just possibly pay a little bit more attention on burning more calories through more movement, more exercise, possibly more cardio, and look at your diet, maybe just cut the calories a little bit as well. So by creating a calorie deficiency in your diet, and by that I don't mean dieting. I never advocate for hard dieting. Okay, so you can create a calorie deficiency without starving yourself. Okay, and this is where good nutrition, understanding of nutrition comes in. Now, another thing I want to mention. So to answer the question, is it possible to get a flat stomach after 50? So yes, it definitely is possible. However, it does get harder as we age, okay? And the reason why it gets harder is because our metabolism tends to slow down little by little as we get older. So, and look, another factor is that as we get older, we tend to move less. So we burn less calories just because we become a little bit more sedentary. Now, when it comes to metabolism and hormones in our body, so with hormones, yes, particularly with men, we start to lose testosterone and we start to lose, our levels of growth hormones in our body starts to decline as we age. So essentially, our body's ability to burn calories at rest declines over time. But look, if you look at the calories, so if you look at how many less calories, fewer calories we burn every decade of, every consecutive decade of life, it's relatively insignificant. Okay, so to give you some rough numbers, so between the ages of 30 to 60, the average decline in resting metabolic rate, which is basically the rate at which your body tends to burn calories at rest, it declines by about 1 to 2% per decade, which equates to roughly about 15 to 50 fewer calories burned each day per decade. Okay, so by the age of 60, you might be burning around 50 to 100 fewer calories per day at rest compared to when you were in your 30s. Okay, so 50 to 100 calories fewer per day, your body burns less off. Okay, now this, 50 to 100 calories, this could be an egg, for example, right? Just to give you a bit of a comparison to what kind of food would equate to that many calories. An egg, or like a chicken drumstick, one chicken drumstick, okay? So it's not a lot, okay? You just have to make sure that as we get older, you move more and possibly you eat, you ingest slightly fewer calories, okay? It's not hard to do. But if you don't do it, that extra 50 calories a day accumulated over a period of time, over a number of years, that does gradually make you put on weight. Okay, so that's why people talk about slowing metabolism, is because they continue to eat the same, they probably move a little bit less, and as their metabolism slows down over the years, over decades, they tend to accumulate more and more weight. But it doesn't have to be that way. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, another important thing to mention about metabolism, okay? So there's been a few studies done, and what they've actually found is that, as I said before, generally your metabolism, it does slow down a little bit, but it's relatively insignificant, okay? Provided that your muscle mass stays the same. And the reason for that is that your muscles are actually quite high maintenance in a good way. Your muscles actually help to burn calories even when you're not moving. Okay, so just to give you a bit of an idea, 1 kilo of muscle burns about 13 to 15 calories per day at rest. Okay, so without you doing anything extra, just by having 1 kilo of muscle, you burn about, let's say, about 15 calories each single day. So as we age, unless we do strength training, we tend to lose muscles, quite a lot of muscle, okay? So therefore, we burn less calories at rest because we don't have as much muscle. Now, on the other hand, if you were to start doing some strength training, and let's say you build a couple of kilos of extra muscle, which is definitely doable, you can do more than that, okay? So you'd be burning extra 30 calories each day, okay? So therefore, sometimes people ask me, how do you increase your metabolism? And there's a lot of woo-woo theories out there about, drinking some magic potions, which most of the time don't work. But the one real proven way to actually increase your metabolism is by simply building more muscle. So doing a bit of strength training actually helps you lose weight because your muscles will help to burn calories. Okay, so this is I guess this is an important thing to realize and understand. Now, the good thing about muscle building muscle is that there's a lot of studies again that show that it's definitely doable. So no matter how old you are, there's been studies done even on people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay, and they've proven beyond doubt that even like a 6 to 8 week strengthening program can actually help you, increase your muscle mass quite substantially. Okay, so no matter how old you are, you can still build muscle mass. Okay, so basically, kind of a general recommendation. Again, this is not specifically for your situation because I don't know your situation, but for, I guess, the majority of people, particularly men over 50, so I would probably recommend doing strength training. I would say if you haven't done strength training for a while, maybe even a couple of times a week would be enough. Okay, but you could potentially increase strength training to 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, as you get stronger and as you feel more confident. Okay, I would definitely recommend doing more cardio. So cardio essentially makes you fit, but also it helps you burn calories as well. Okay, so cardio could be as simple as going for a longer walk. Okay, taking public transport to work rather than driving. Okay, so you tend to walk more. If you are so inclined and if you don't have any kind of major injuries, you could do some jogging, running. If you don't like running, you can do swimming, you can do cycling. I mean, there's lots of cardio options that you have. Okay, I mean, you could play golf. There's many options you've got. Okay, so then you need to look at nutrition. Okay, now nutrition is probably one of the most complex areas when it comes to weight loss. Okay, so you need to understand calories. You need to understand foods that contain a higher sort of amounts of calories. Okay, you probably would need to start weighing things up and start counting calories. Even though this is a bit of a drag and most people hate it, but I think at least for a month or two, just so you understand how many calories are in your food, it's important to track your nutrition and understand your food a little bit better, particularly in respect to calories. Okay, because your weight loss is essentially, as I said before, it's a formula. Okay, it's calories coming in through food and calories coming out through exercise. Okay, and as long as you're burning a few more calories every day than you're ingesting into your body, then you are pretty much guaranteed to lose weight. Okay. Now, another, I guess, less important things, but good sleep, stress management, and patience, okay, go a long way. Okay. If you don't get good sleep, your metabolism tends to be slower during the day. Okay. So that's why it's important to, if you can, try and get into good sleep patterns, go to bed early. There's a few things you can do to try and improve your sleep. Okay. So do something, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect right from the start. Just do something and make a start. So if you are training your core muscles, don't have to stop doing it, okay? But just understand that doing a lot of sit-ups and crunches and all sorts of ab exercises is not going to give you a flat stomach straight away, okay? It probably will save you a lot of frustration and false expectation, okay? So in summary, can you get a flat stomach after 50? Yes, you can. It may take a little bit more effort. It may take a little bit of more time. It may mean that you need to pay more attention to your nutrition and understanding calories. But there's absolutely no reason that you can't get a flat stomach no matter how old you are. Okay, and in our in the Growing Younger program, we see a lot of men who come to us in their 50s and their 60s. And they want to look better, like they want to regain that lost confidence that they once had. Okay, and it's remarkable to see the results. And it never happens quickly. Okay, but it happens over a few months. All of a sudden, they start to realize that they can actually start to see that their body is changing, and it usually happens after they understand nutrition, after they understand the calories. So, yep, there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel, but it does take a little bit of effort to get to the goal. Okay. Hopefully you learned something from this. All the best for now, and I will speak to you on the next podcast.